Hi, Margaux.
Hi.
Hi, Evan.
Hi, Brianna.
So business, how are you? Thank you for sitting down with me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. We're going to talk about the piece that you guys performed together as a duet called Liminal. Liminal? Is that what you say?
Yes.
Choreographed mostly by Evan, but in collaboration with Margaux. So let's start off. How did the concept come to be for you guys?
This is a funny story, actually.
Great.
So I've been thinking about this since first semester of third year, and it was in our production class, and so we had to come up with a whole show and stuff. And because my partner was a production student, I was like, okay, I'll come up with our concept and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that morning, I saw an Instagram post from this guy that I follow, just giving a huge long paragraph about how he's actually a straight male, but then doesn't he never disclosed his gender or who he is on his Instagram until this point, and everyone thought he was super gay and thought he was always wearing dresses on his Instagram and stuff. Right. And his point was just kind of that you can be whoever you want, you can do whatever you want, basically the gist of it was trying to deconstruct these social norms, and I just found that very inspiring. So in first semester, I did a lot of research just about this idea, and I think it was just the right time. It happened organically for me in my life. This is something that I'd always been thinking about, and something that I'd always questioned in myself, because being a gay man, you're just so much more in touch with your feminine side, and it's just how in touch are you really? I'm always very drawn to feminine clothing, just everything. And so I did a lot of research on this in first semester, and I decided that I wanted to audition it for choreo. And then I think through Kate's improv class, when we were being forced to work with people, I was fuck, I don't know what to do. And then I was okay, maybe I'll just take this idea and see what happens and turn it into something real, just trying things. I really wasn't convinced. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't set on anything. It was really just kind of
spur of the moment.
Yeah, spur of the moment. Yeah. And then I think me and Margaux just had such good chemistry, and we'd really connected through working with each other in Yang, choreographed by Peggy Baker. Shout out,
Totally.
And so I think because we had such a strong setup, foundation of our friendship, it really just flowed super easily.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And even within the first few rehearsals, it was never really set that we were going to be discussing gender fluidity or being trans or pansexual, whatever it was. It was more so about this idea of whether we're conforming to these norms or going against them, and what that means, and if we really needed to state we didn't want to be fuck you, I'm a girl, I can wear pants, that's not what we were.
It was in our faces, more of an exploration. Yeah, it was really nice that we could go into rehearsals and just explore a lot. Our duet just changed so much, even right up until we performed it, or I guess until we auditioned it for the panel. Because every time we'd come in and we'd have different ideas, and I just kept wanting to elevate it and bring it to this new place.
I mean, it's such a big subject to tackle.
Yeah, exactly.
Incorporate into performance art, and you say, Margaux, it's also very sensitive right now for people to be I'm gonna be different and gender difference, and it's well, we can do it in a subtle way. We don't have to scream it.
And that's the thing. I felt if we were screaming it, that it would have made it more about us, us being fuck you, this is who I am, whereas we don't really know who we are. I don't know if I identify as non-binary or as part of that community. I don't know where my gender lays on the gender spectrum now. And so I didn't want to make it a personal thing. It was more using us to explain a story. And I think I chose this story because as I wrote in my assignment in first year, to me, I just felt I could use my art to bring light to like a group that I feel is so like pushed away and like not really talked about and not really understood. Like I didn't really even understand like what being non-binary was like until like last summer. Like there's just a lot of like misconceptions and stigmas, and I feel like there's this like LGBTQ plus like all these people are like, okay, like we're here to like accept these people, and then there's kind of like these other groups that I feel like are falling behind and like aren't as recognizable and like aren't as understood.
Yeah.
And I felt that I just wanted to like touch on that, you know?
I feel like also in dance there's such a like clear understanding of boy and girl, especially in ballet.
Yeah.
And you have that like you grow up watching the prince and the princess fall in love, and the boy does the jumps and the girl does the pretty lifts, and it's like, well, who decided that? Where did that come from? Why can't we change it now?
And I've been struggling with that for so long, and I think that's what kind of allowed it to like organically develop into happening for choreo.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Because even when Evan had first come up to me about this idea and this concept, like we recognized just physically how similar we were in the sense that like for like a female, I guess people could say like I am more broad-shouldered and I am tall. Like I'm like 5'9", 5'10". So like socially, I guess in the media, like a lot of people could say like I'm not like the most like feminine person, or like I could be more so like compared to like a guy, and like same as you, like you have like a very thin framed, which like again media says like that isn't like a true man. So it was kind of also just like this like visual like understanding of like why are like challenging our physical bodies and like seeing how like that would create like a reaction almost.
Yeah.
Because even like within the choreography, it was never like, okay, so you're the guy, so you're gonna lift me, or like like, or I'm trying to become a guy, so I'm gonna lift you. It was more so just like throwing our bodies into this space and then just kind of seeing what we could do as equal people, like just as people in a space, rather than like these boxed up like identities.
You guys definitely use that too, like your movement shifted so much from who was carrying who was initiating who, and I watching it from backstage, I can understood that like once you took off your clothes and you became these sort of neutral blobs of bodies of movement, like it didn't really matter who was what status or what class, like,
and that's
you guys
exactly what I was going
playing,
for. And it's really important to us too, just because in dance, like usually when you see a man and a woman on stage, it's seen as it's like a romantic relationship, or like and like we really didn't want that to be the case. And it like just threw in like the other question of like, why is our identity always connected to our sexuality, and like why is that?
They're so completely opposite from each other.
And it was funny, like in the mornings we would come in like be in ballet and be so insecure, like in both of our opposite ways. Like I specifically remember one day where I was like, wow, I feel so skinny and like I want to have bigger muscles and I want to like look more manly, and then like you were literally talking about this same thing but opposite. You're like, I want to like
I'm bloated, I feel like I'm skinny, too like wide, and it's just
all
like
this stuff. And then we would have rehearsal later, and it was just nice to like explore that and like let those feelings go, and
especially if you're having
delve more into that idea. Which was super funny. And then about the whole like gendering and like costume thing, like how the duet was structured is that we basically started in our like respective clothing, and then had a section where we were in nude bodysuits, and then switched outfits. And at first I was worried about how like literal this kind of metaphor would be, because I do find it really annoying watching dances that have so many literal references.
Right.
But I think what you're saying about how historically in dance, like in ballet, like the man wears man's clothing and like does like the girls wear the tutus because it's like about like being pretty and like all these things. I think like your identity is often associated with what you wear, and like what you display, and like who you are like showing yourself to the world as, and like what people want to perceive you as. And so I think in the end, even though I was like insecure about it, it was important that the costumes were like a like literal representation.
Yeah. I think it also helps like as an audience member for you to be like, okay, we have these like two sort of sides of the spectrum or whatever, but then like they get confused, they get mixed up, and the clothes kind of help us stay with that. Because your movement, I think, probably wouldn't do enough to display
and I
that.
think like that's kind of why contemporary dance isn't always very accessible to like the general public. It's easy for dancers to watch and like you can appreciate it from a lot of different aspects, but I've been realizing that simplicity is hugely important and just like making your art understandable for all different kinds of people is important. And
so that was a great choice then, I think. You know, like it could be considered a little bit literal in a sense, but
like knowing where to use literal,
you're able to access it.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah. And even like for the whole costume thing, like that was like a big discussion that we had to have throughout the process. Like it like because it was in like a school theater, obviously we had to be like very considerate about like how nude we were on stage.
Right.
Like I feel like if we could have done it like nude, like that would have been like a statement in itself.
Absolutely.
And at first like we had the idea that I would be in a bodysuit and then he would be just in like nude shorts, just because like, you know, like he's a guy, like that's just kind of like what it was. But then it was like, why are his nipples showing and mine can't?
Yeah,
you know,
we
like
had this realization. We were like, wait a second, we're completely conforming to the gender roles that we're like
there it is.
performing in a piece that's about not having gender roles. It was so funny.
Yeah,
interesting.
So we ended up deciding to buy the exact same unitard, like same cut, same color, everything.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's crazy. Like it's like when you're in a process like that, just discovering this whole other world that like I don't always challenge or question. Like it was crazy just to realize how the gender binary system is so like prominent just in everyday life. Yeah. You know, like everywhere that I walked, I was just like, wow, like I think it was like after a rehearsal one day, I had just like my hair tied up in like a low bun and I was wearing a toque. And I was like wearing a scarf, so I guess like somebody could assume that like I look more like a guy. And it was like right out of rehearsal, and then I'm walking down the street and somebody was like, hey bro, dude, like calling me out like a guy. And I was like all insulted at first, and then I was like, why am I insulted by it? You know, like why is that an insult to me? Like why do I feel like I need to like, because, like, initially I was like, oh, I should take off my toque because I don't look like a girl. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm comfortable. Like, why do I need to do that? Like, it's crazy.
I had this similar experience the other day. That's so funny. I was wearing a toque.
Yeah.
I think it, like, it's just it's a daily struggle to be able to figure out where you stand in your gender identity.
And it goes both ways. Like, it's funny to me when men get called girl or they're so offended by like female pronouns. It's like, why is it that big of a deal, right?
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't feel like that. Yeah. Amazing.
But like I just have to say thank you to Margaux because like I would not have been able to like go through this process without her as my partner. And like every day I would come into rehearsal and be like, I don't know what I'm doing with this. Like I'm so lost, and I would have so many ideas but wouldn't be able to figure them out on my own. And I think I just felt a lot of pressure from like the teachers and myself and peers to like make this good product. And like there's just so many influences hitting me, and I was at times feeling very like weighed down, and like I just wasn't able to pull it off. But then every time that I would get in the studio with Margaux, like it would leave me so inspired, and like without having another person who I could like trust and like work with so openly and like have such a like fun and like relaxed and also like serious and committed kind of process, like it wouldn't have worked out, you know what I mean? Like it definitely would have been possible without you. So
you guys have great chemistry. Like definitely, and like you were saying from your duet and Yang, like you've been able to like build this trust with each other, and I think that's so important for a duet.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I think like also it wouldn't have been possible if we wouldn't have put as much like the whole like the discussion part and research part that it wasn't like a movement research, it was more of like a conversation about the topic was really important to us. And I think that sometimes like we forget that in a lot of processes. Like we want it to look a certain way, or like we want to make sure that like we like, you know, do these like really cool like structures and shapes and stuff. But I think that it it worked out for us because from the get-go, it was like when we were in the studio, it's like we were having a conversation about the actual topic that we were wanting to portray rather than like the shapes and how they would like conform to the topic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
totally.
Our conversation was like alive and like kept going throughout the entire process. Even to like our last performance, we were still questioning like, okay, so like when I touch you like this and you know, and I guess like some people could say that's like too over analytical, but I think that it was important for us because it is like an ongoing like issue that we could have taken a completely different route.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, and actually going off of that, like, would you want to remount this in like a different setting, in a different way, or leave it in choreographic works, you know?
I think that I would probably want to remount it just because I think that right now, like, since this conversation and just like growing up and maturing, you start to question like how you identify in the world. And like lately I've been really questioning that, like, you know, like, am I cisgendered? Like, why am I am I non-binary? You know, and it's like, do I have to decide? Like, you know, so I think that it would be interesting, even if we come back in like 10 years after we've like lived through a bunch of things, just to discuss like how we view these things, because it could be completely different.
Absolutely.
It's an ongoing thing, for sure. Yeah,
I would definitely like to remount it. I think just like logistically, it's can be challenging to like find space and like a place to perform it. I mean, there's like many like small festivals and stuff that I'm sure we could submit to. And I haven't decided on anything yet, but I also think it would be really fun to remount it and then like again do another rehearsal process because we were so constricted by like the regulations of choreographic works and like you know we only have 3 cues that's only 5 minutes long and again that was like a big part of like ours piece pretty much ended up being like 7 minutes long because we just like had so much to do, like so much to say, like
and you were in silence.
We really pushed
it. I loved it. I was like, yep, keep going. Like there's no reason for you to stop, and it just happened.
Like 5 minutes is too short to really say something. That's just like a tidbit, like a snapshot of an idea, like a movie trailer. You know what I mean? And so if we were to remount it, it would definitely become like potentially a full length work. Even like there's just so much depth to this subject, and like we could really like explore it so much further, which I would love to do.
Nice.
I mean, maybe not this summer or like super soon.
But I feel like it'd be interesting just to see like our perspective on it after we've like digested it a little bit more, because right now like I feel the exact same way about it, and like about like where I stand with like the system like in general. So it'd be interesting to see how it is like when I have like
once
a different,
we've matured and like grown in our own
ways. It would totally change, I feel like. But still valid. Cool. And just to switch gears a little bit, what are you guys up to this summer? If you want to like plug your next project.
You go first, Margaux.
Oh my gosh, I'm living my best dreams this summer.
Baby.
I'm just like, I'm focusing on training just because like ideally after I graduate, I kind of like, I want to, like, just go for it. Like, I want to be a dancer, you know? I don't want to... I would love to work in Europe or, like, wherever. So I'm doing Metamorphosis, which is going to be really fun. And then I'm doing Kenny Pearl's Intensive because Kenny's awesome.
We love Kenny.
Love you, Kenny.
Yeah. And then I'm going to Israel for 4 weeks. I'm so excited. And I'm going to be doing the Kibbutz Summer Dance Intensive, which is going to be so much fun. Because I love that company and I've heard such great things about them. And I think to just be in like a different environment that isn't like Toronto itself, because like I am from Winnipeg, so when I first came to Toronto, I was like, this is so sick, like this is so much dancing, and now I've been here for like 2 years and I'm like, like this is still really sick, but I kind of want to know what else really it is. So I'm excited for that. And then I think throughout I'm just gonna be like pushing myself to like not only be a performer, like maybe try like choreography or just like I don't know, live my life. Not too sure. For sure.
Yes,
what about you?
Well, the only thing that I have planned is Springboard.
Woo, that's so fun.
So exciting.
I'm super excited. And if it wasn't for like last minute signing up, like literally the night before, and like, it was such a just spur of the moment thing, and like I never would have expected to have gotten accepted. Like I wouldn't really have done like major like summer intensive. Like I was just planning on doing like small things, like dropping classes, like just things like that.
Fun. Yeah, to have like a month of
and
that.
so yeah, I'm really excited to just like be in Montreal and actually do a program that's not like an intensive, and they specified that very clearly. They're like, this, like, do not come here expecting to train. Like, this is a project. Like, you're here to like work with artists and like learn and grow and create art. It's not about, you know, like training and working hard and stuff. And I totally appreciate that, and I definitely would love that. But I think I really want to like focus on myself this summer and like, I don't know, like stretch and just like get strong. I'm like, I feel like there's just so many ways that I could like improve, and just like small things that I like want to work on for myself. You know what I mean?
I think it's going to be great to like do a program or like train without knowing that you're going to be receiving a grade at the end.
Oh my God,
just like that different kind of perspective towards class, I think is going to be really great for us. Because I like, even in class, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't do well, and rather than like questioning like what can I do better, it's like, oh crap, I hope I don't get a B. You know, it's like
it changes the way you approach class, doesn't it? Yeah, for sure.
And it's nice that Springboard brings so many international people, because I think I've been feeling a lot of pressure recently just to like get out there and like be in Europe and like go where dance is like thriving and where the culture is like rich and all this stuff, and I've been like feeling that like urgency to get out there, and Springboard is designed to like bring that to Canada. So I'm really happy that I'll get to experience some of that this summer. But I'm such a liar. I'm going to Europe for like
I was gonna say, are you?
I'm going to Europe for a week with just with my boyfriend. But so that exciting. Was like, I'm not going there to dance. We're just
great, going
enjoy
for fun.
It. Yeah, and that's just at the end of the semester, just kind of a like for fun.
Trip.
Yeah,
nice.
And it just worked out.
Sweet.
With like flights and stuff. Like we just ended up having like a super like chill situation set up for us, and we're just like, let's do it.
Nice.
So
that's great.
Yes, there will be some like, human non-dancer experiences, and then I'll do some dancing.
You say this while you dance?
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Oh my God, I just need to work.
Yeah.
Bitch.
I need to
get that cash money.
Yep. For sure.
Don't even talk about that.
Oh my God.
Well, thank you guys so much for sitting with me.
Thank you.
It was really, really awesome, and I really appreciate it.
Do you want to plug what you're going to do this summer before you
What I'm going to do? I'm going to North Carolina. That's so
oh my God, yeah,
sick.
musical theater.
Yeah, trying to, get onto Broadway. So yeah, but that's mostly what I'm up to, and I'm doing Metamorphosis with you as well.
Yay.
Actually, yeah.
I think that's so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. I wish I could do Metamorphosis.
Oh,
that's okay. You'll be in Paris.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you.
Thank you.